Thanks, Chris.
Well, why don't we give this another try? I'll speak a little slower since we're doing this through a couple of relays to get my voice here. But again, greetings, sailors. I'm very excited about the program we have today, and we have a CPA with us who specializes in the tax implications of having a yacht in a charter fleet. Doug Benefield, CPA, is the co-founder of Elevate CPA, and along with his partner, Tammy Long, they specialize in providing solutions to micro and mid-sized businesses. Now, prior to founding Elevated CPA, Doug worked with BDO, obviously not a micro to mid-sized business firm. I think it's one of the top 10 in the world, and also a more boutique LPA group. So really the full spectrum on the CPA side. I'd like to welcome Doug to tell us a little more about what all of you can do to protect your investment in our industry and what he may be able to do to help you personally. We welcome any questions that you'd like to ask, and we'll take about 15 minutes at the end to answer your question. So if you would, again, take a moment right now to find the chat button and go ahead and punch in hello or send us a message. And that way you can know, we know that you can actually hear us. And that's where you're going to be asking your questions. And feel free to ask them anytime during the webinar. Before I introduce Doug, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the common types of programs that owners are enjoying to increase their sailing time, generate revenue, plan the best possible tax strategies, or frankly, all of the above. Most investors are looking for the best tax planning advantages, place their boats in a business that allows for sharing the charter revenue that pays the lion's share of the revenue to the owner. Now, from that revenue, you're going to pay your expenses. And that tends to be the highest earning and also has the best potential for tax advantages. For those of you that really don't need tax advantages, the Guaranteed Revenue Program allows for lots of sailing time and a set return, and those programs both last for up to 7 years. We have a SMART program also that allows you to put a bigger chunk down up front and have the boat fully paid off at the end of the charter term. So we'd love to work with you to find out which program works best for you. My guess is, though, that if you're here, you're interested in finding out a little bit more about the tax strategies. And so grab that pen and paper, get ready to take some notes, and make sure to note this on your calendar that you are here at this webinar, because you want to really start logging all of the time that you're spending on your business, and this actually counts as some of that time. So Doug, thank you for taking the time to discuss the ins and outs of the tax implications of placing a yacht in a charter program. And first, thanks for working with some of our owners to help them set up their business the right way, make sure they're doing all of this and avoiding some of the pitfalls. Now, as an expert in the field, what are some of the most common questions that you get asked?
Philip, thanks for having us. We had an awesome time in Miami. The boat show was great. I wish we could have come to Palm Beach, but it fell right in the middle of tax season. So tax returns still needed to get out the door. The most common question is, can I write off my boat? The answer is yes and no. Yes, it's possible to write off your whole boat. It needs to be a business asset. There's a nice way of doing it. We have a system, and we've consulted with attorneys. My partner Tammy and I have done hours and hours of research. We've got a system built that kind of plug and play, but in order to write off that boat, you've got to have you got to be actively involved in your business.
Okay, and who tends to be the best candidate for placing a boat in a charter fleet? as a business and taking advantage of the tax laws?
The first question when I talk to prospective boat owners that I generally go to is, why do you want to buy the boat? Uh, my favorite answer is because we think we want to retire on the boat. We want to use the boat. Um, the right owner is somebody who wants to try out chartering, wants to pay for the boat, at least a portion of it, while it's generating income and can benefit from a tax write-off in the front end. I love it when people say, we love to sail, we want to retire or vacation on the boat, we want the boat to pay for itself.
Fantastic. So not just pay for itself, but also have the potential of getting a very significant tax return. And I keep hearing that business plans are critical to this as a business, and in particular, in the event that there is some issue with the IRS. Why is that so important to have a business plan going into an investment like this?
First and foremost, we are setting this up as a business with a profit motive. The goal is to generate money, generate cash flow in your pocket. The business plan outlines how we're going to do it. Where are we putting the boat? What kind of boat? Who's going to manage the boat? Who does the maintenance? All those things. And it ultimately goes back to a tax court case, Klein versus Commissioner. The tax court ultimately said the business owners weren't actively involved because of one piece of the business plan that they didn't do. They said they were going to make a website, and they didn't. Tax court said, oh, these are passive losses. They're not deductible. They're only deductible against passive income. So part of our whole system is a website, and it involves an extensive business plan. I think we're somewhere around 10 pages that outlines every step of this business.
Wow, fantastic! That's that's pretty important. The difference between winning and losing with the IRS may rest on a business plan and following it. Is it safe to say that if the business is consistently profitable, there's a low risk of an IRS audit?
Low risk, no. High risk, no. Generally, if you're taking large deductions, it raises your audit risk a little bit. With the way we're building this system out, even if you are audited, we've got all the evidence and we've got the tax court cases that back us up. There are certainly better ways of structuring the business. My least favorite way of structuring a business is to put it all on your personal income tax return. I think that gives the IRS too much information at one time. So I'd rather have a LLC or an S Corp, separate business return, only a couple of numbers feed into your personal tax return. It kind of makes twice as difficult for the IRS to review it. But ultimately, I would say that it doesn't really increase your audit risk.
Okay. And kind of as a follow-up to that, how should an investor structure their business as they're getting set to move forward?
Yeah. My personal preference is an LLC. I like Florida also. I'm in Florida. We have no state income tax for those of you in unfriendly state tax states. I like the S Corp election with the LLC. Ultimately, when we take an LLC and we give it the S election, we're avoiding those self-employment taxes. The LLC is good in Florida because of asset protection. We need to make sure that if you hit Tom Brady in Tampa, he can't sue you and take this boat. So the operating agreement is important. We have an attorney that does all of that. That's the way to go.
Okay, so I keep hearing that depreciation is really the key for tax planning benefits. Can you tell me how much depreciation I could take in a given year, or any special rules such as Section 179 that can help me really maximize those benefits?
Sure. Yeah. Section 179 is good. The limit on that is about $1 million in the first year. Uh, there's another section, Section 168, which is called bonus depreciation. Bonus depreciation is the whole value of the asset. So $1 million boat, you're getting $1 million expense in the first year that that boat goes into service. There are some limits to how much of the losses you can take against your active income. Um, but basically, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act established Section 168. The idea is that if you're buying this asset, it's putting people to work, it's generating business, it's stimulating the economy. So that's the whole goal.
Wow. So what you just mentioned $1 million boat. What would the numbers look like on somebody buying $1 million boat?
$1 million boat with full bonus depreciation, the tax savings are equivalent to your effective tax rate. So if you're in a 37% bracket, you're looking at $370,000 in tax savings. It, as a business owner, a small business owner, and I have a landscaping business and a construction business, it's almost like buying something on sale. Um, there's a John Deere tractor in my yard because I needed a tractor. I found somebody to run a landscaping business, so I started a landscaping business. Ultimately, I took the depreciation on that tractor, and it gets used for the business. But I needed a tractor, and I didn't want to pay full price.
Wow. Everybody listening, anybody interested in getting a 37% discount, effective discount on a boat? That brings up recapture. Can you give us a little bit on that? I don't want to talk about all the advantages. There are some pitfalls that people have to look out for. So, tell us about recapture.
Sure. So the IRS basically says if you're going to take all this depreciation in year one and you're going to use it against active income at your effective tax rate, when you go to sell this boat or convert it to personal use, they're going to recapture some of the income. Generally, if we write the whole boat off, it's worth nothing on the tax value. $1 million boat's worth nothing for tax. It definitely still has value. You sell it for 600. There's going to be a gain on that 600,000 of income. There are a couple different strategies depending on what you ultimately want to do. If you want to use the boat personally, my recommendation is to taper down this business over time and time the market so that when it does come out of the business, maybe there are a bunch of boats for sale. That way the fair market value is less. If you get to the end of 7 years and you want to sell this boat, ultimately, my favorite answer is buy another boat, write it off again. You're essentially swapping the gains. But that new boat is going to be more expensive than the old boat's value. So you're getting a net taxable benefit.
You know what? I very much like the sound of that, Doug. I fully agree with buying another boat and putting another fleet. I know we're trying to keep a lot of time for questions, and we actually received a couple of questions in advance of the webinar, but there are several aspects of starting up something like this. There's obviously buying the boat, and that's you can certainly speak with us or any of our colleagues in the industry. I can give you 100 reasons why I believe nobody comes close to the program that Navigare Yachting offers. But there's also the legal side. There's the banking side, the whole tax side, the LLC. Can you tell me that what part of that you can help with, and where would you direct somebody to that was looking to get started?
Sure. So my first step for a prospective boat owner or boat buyer, I'd want you guys to get in touch with Navigare. They have excellent sales guys who can outline from Navigare's perspective what you can expect for the income from the charter, and then how much of time of the year that you can actually use your boat. Then they usually refer you to me. I can take that information that they've given you about the cash flows and the price of the boat, which model you're looking at, expected delivery date, and I can put it into a tax projection. So we'll go a little bit deeper into the details on my end. I'm going to want to look at some of your income, um, expected retirement age, financing terms, how you think you're going to pay for the boat. And then I have basically a one-page document that generates from a giant spreadsheet that allows you to hold something in your hand and say, okay, $1 million boat, 350,000 in tax savings. I'm expecting to generate this much cash flow every year. And then ultimately what the value of your boat is at the end of the charter.
Yeah. Interesting. So I was just trying to run through some numbers in my head. And in our ultimate program, the shared revenue program that we talked about, our owners are bringing in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% of the purchase price of the boat every year for up to 7 years. And if we take a kind of a conservative 9%, then over 7 years, the term of our agreement, by the way, we'll keep the boat in the fleet for up to 7 years. You don't have to. We'll just guarantee that for you. But that would be 63% of the purchase price. And then 37%, if you happen to be in that tax bracket and qualify for that depreciation, that sounds like 100% of the boat. And then basically you have a boat at the end of the term that's typically, if you were to sell it at the end of the term, would be about 65, maybe 70% of your purchase price. Interesting that power boats tend to drop a lot faster than sailboats. And in this market, especially the mid-sized catamarans we're literally selling them for 80% of their purchase price 7 years later, because the purchase prices are going up fairly substantially. Hint, order now to take advantage of the better prices. Great. I haven't seen a lot of questions coming in. I would like to start answering some of the questions now. We did get a couple of questions that came in before the webinar. This is from Bob. My accountant is not too sure about how this works. Are you able to get on a call with all of us to explain all the implications to my accountant or CPA?
The answer is yes. For whatever reason, CPAs, either because they don't want to do the research, they think that it's not deductible, or they kind of just don't want the extra business, the extra headache of finding a new niche. We're in the process of finalizing a white paper on my end that kind of outlines it. It has tax court cases they can go research. I'd be happy to provide that to anybody. And ultimately, if I need to get on the phone with the CPA, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay. Jared, what portion of your of trips to your boat can be expensed if set up as a business? Airline tickets for family, friends, dinner, drinks?
It's probably somewhere between 50 and 75%, honestly. If you were already going to take these charter boats on your own vacations at the price of a charter, plus the deductibility of all the expenses, add that to the net cash flow from the charter business itself. This thing it's a home run.
Wow, fantastic. This is from Phil, not me, a different Phil. Can the guaranteed revenue program qualify for a business under Section 183?
it could be a business. It's probably passive. The guaranteed income is just doesn't have the active involvement that we need to generate active losses. But the guaranteed program is a great program. It still generates good income. The value of the boat stays high. Um,
Okay. Um, Here we have a question from Brian. Would like to consider purchasing a Neil 51 trimaran. Is that a boat that could be purchased through Navigare and set up as a business as discussed? Yeah, interesting. I've actually sailed a fair amount on the Neil trimarans, and may not be the perfect boat, but we've had a lot of we get quite a few people looking at boats that they're considering buying and spending a lot of time on, and they want to get out and charter them. So, and also we have a lot of people that are interested in more performance sailboats. The Lagoon, Clinton Peugeot, Bali, Nautatech are our most common boats, are not known for their sailing performance, although I must say that I sailed an event called the Arc in a lagoon catamaran and beat all of the Outre-mers and Katanas. Once you load a catamaran down, you even the playing field. So, but yeah, we'd love to talk to you, Brian, about putting a Neil in one of our fleets. I think that may be a perfect boat for our Bahamas location. So yeah, give us a call. Chris, can a rental property real estate be added to the LLC along with the boat as part of the business?
it could. I don't think it's the right um, way to do it. From an asset protection standpoint, we would want those assets separate in separate LLCs. Um, the rental property could be classified as active if you satisfied the tests, but I mean ultimately it's not a tax issue. It's an asset protection issue, and they should probably be separate. Rental property goes great right on your personal tax return, even if it isn't an LLC. So until you get into the world of multiple rental properties, it's probably not necessary to go into the business.
Okay, this is it's hard to believe, but we're nailing our 30-minute time frame. I don't think it's ever happened before. So love to ask again if you have any questions. Anybody have any questions about how much a boat costs? About the typical returns? We can certainly get into that. I know this is particular to have a CPA on ready to answer any personal questions you may have. I won't say any last names, so.
Philip, we didn't put this in the script, but what's your favorite boat in the charter fleet?
I would say my favorite boat is the highest returning boat. And right now we have a couple of different boats that are our highest returning boats. But for the Bahamas, it seems like 42 to 46 feet boats are just killing it. In the BVI, tend to be bigger. So 46 to 52 feet tend to be the best performing boats. And we are having just banner seasons. Now that COVID's over, our charter lines are ringing off the hook. We're renting our boats like crazy, and very excited. Wish we had. If I had one of our charter sales agents on this webinar right now, I'm sure they would say, "Get me more 50-footers in the BVI."
Yeah, I was talking to Joaquin this afternoon. He mentioned there's a Bali 54 in the BVI.
Yes.
Doing something like twice the projected income that you guys originally projected. That's crazy.
It is going amazingly well. Yes. As a matter of fact, one thing we do make sure of is before we set our boats up in the reservation system, we want to make sure that we've set the owner's weeks, because once we put it out there, those weeks are going fast. We're quite fortunate. We did get another question from Chris, and let's see. I'm going right past it. If your LLC is set up as an S corp, don't you have to pay yourself a salary? Oh, I'm sorry, that's from Bobby.
Bobby, yes, you do have to pay yourself a salary, but it's probably not as involved as you're thinking. So we don't need a payroll provider. I don't actually need any money to move. It's really just quarterly payroll tax returns, and we would remit some federal withholding, Social Security, and Medicare to the IRS. So yes, a salary, but not that involved. It's generally we do these LLCS corps for a lot of doctors that are on their own, and they get their income on a 1099, but we don't want to pay self-employment taxes on the whole 1099 income.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Bobby, I'm so glad you've made it onto the call. Brian has another question. Is there a limit to the number of weeks per year an owner can use the boat under this program?
From a tax standpoint, no, there's not.
Okay, and I'll answer from a program standpoint. And the standard answer is 12 weeks in the ultimate program. And just remember, the more you use your boat or another boat in the fleet, the less revenue you're going to earn. So it's a trade-off. If you want to sail, and we have lots of owners that want to take their boat and head out for a month and go sail down to the Grenadines, or from the Bahamas all the way down through the Bahamas and hit the Exumas and New Providence and Berries and just some of the just absolutely amazing destinations. And so 12 weeks is the standard answer.
From a tax standpoint, generally when I build out these cash flow projections, somewhere between 30 and 60 days is what I like to do. The more you use it, the less it is deductible, but the less income you generate also. So 30 to 60 days is probably, while there isn't a real definite answer, that's where I would put it on personal use.
Okay, Chris, is there a fee structure for the typical program of LLC, S corp, business plan, etc.? And I'm guessing Doug, that's for you.
There is. It's to what I would consider to be very affordable compared with the price of the boat. I'll be happy to get you a proposal, Chris, if you'd like, after the webinar. Shoot me an email, get in touch with Philip. The cash flow projection that we do is complimentary. I don't charge for it. I'd rather build your trust over time, and then you know that I'm the right guy for the job.
Yeah, I'm guessing it varies depending on how involved, if you're there in having all of the legal, all of the accounting set up, etc. So good, Chris. Feel free to shoot me an email. Kathleen, can you have a partner in this program? As far as Navigare is concerned, we love that. Yeah, we have lots of partnerships are formed to purchase those and share the usage time. And Doug, there may be a different answer from you.
Yeah, from a tax standpoint, the answer is yes, a partner, and yes, it's good. From asset protection, we have to have a partner. So an LLC with a husband and a wife offers very little asset protection, but by adding a child or a third person into the partnership, we have a way that doesn't affect them income or expense wise. It doesn't affect them on the tax end, but from an asset protection standpoint, we need that third person. or second person if it's just a single person buying a boat.
Wow, that was a bonus piece of advice right there. That's awesome. That was worth the price of admission to this webinar. I'm going to, unless we have any more questions, I am going to thank Doug. It sounds like there's a lot of tax benefits for those that qualify, and we've been able to answer a lot of the questions that were relatively basic. Lots more. We can go deeper and deeper. Navigare can provide everything an investor needs to run their business on the technical side, including some of the highest returns in the industry, a maintenance program that keeps your asset in the best possible condition. And I'm going to type my email address in here, and that was requested. Navigare whoops. I can't speak and type at the same time, but there we go. There you go. We are, and thanks, Brian, for asking for that. On the recording, we'll have it there along with our phone number, all of our contact information, and we will set you up with somebody who can answer any questions you have. On behalf of the Navigare team, I'd like to thank Doug for bringing his wealth of knowledge to us, and to all of you for spending the time with us. And I look forward to seeing you all out sailing soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. Thanks for having me.